Hello and welcome back to a double stitch creations tutorial. This is tutorial part 6. We're working on Eddie's face and head today. It's quite it's probably a bit bigger tutorial than the other ones that we've done, but it will mean getting most of his face done, and then we'll only have his body to go. Alright, what you'll need, I'll just put Eddie over here today, is your orangutan colour yarn, some beige, some black. I'm using 8-ply wool. You'll also need your 4.5mm hook, tapestry needle, scissors. Not essential, but if you have a stitch marker, or you can just use a scrap piece of yarn. You'll also need some hobby fill, and you'll need his eyes that we've made in the other tutorials, which there is a link in the description below to all the other tutorials, and his ears. Alrighty, let's get started. Okay, we're starting with the beige colour yarn, and I'm doubling the yarn. I'm using 8-ply wool, but you could use cotton. And making a slip knot, so I leave a tail. I wrap it around my finger twice. I grab the back loop and I pull it over the front loop, and I grab the end of my yarn and I wrap it in front of the loop that's still my finger, and I grab the back loop and pull it over the front loop. So this is a good way of starting if you're just starting your crocheting journey. It's a little bit easier than a magic circle, but you could also start with a magic circle. We're going to chain 2, so yarn over, I'm pulling that yarn back through the loop and a hook, that's 1. Yarn over, I'm pulling the yarn back to the loop and a hook, so now we've got 2 chain. We can't crochet, this is our hook. We want to put 6 single crochets into the second chain from our hook. So here's our hook, this is the first chain, here's the second. We can't crochet into the first chain because it'll just undo, so we want to go into the second. And if you just follow your yarn and going through that slip knot and just pulling out the bottom loop of the chain with your, just to make it a little bit bigger, you can tighten it later. And this is where we're going to put our 6 single crochets into this chain space. So you could do a magic circle with and put 6 single crochets in it, or you can start off this way. Either way works. So we're going to go into that chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 1 single crochet into the next chain space, into the same chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's 2, we want 4 more. So all in this to the same chain space. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that completes round 1. So now we're going into the first stitch of the, so we're putting our crochet hook, each stitch has a front loop and a back loop, so we want to put our crochet hook under both those loops of the first stitch of the round. So we're going under that very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's another single crochet. So what we're going to do is do 2 single crochets into every stitch around until we have 12 stitches. So we're increasing. So I want to put another single crochet into that same stitch, then moving to the second stitch from the previous round. I'm going to put 2 single crochets into here. Then moving to the next one, doing 2 single crochets. So we've now done 6. then moving to the next stitch, doing another 2 single crochets. This is 7 and 8, moving to the next stitch, doing 9 and 10, and then to the next one along, 11 and 12. And now if you count it, you should have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, not essential, but if you have it, a stitch marker is handy, or you can just use a scrap piece of yarn, or you can just count. So what you want to do is we're doing round 3 and we're still increasing, so we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next stitch, then 1 single crochet, then 2, then 1, and we're going to repeat that all the way around back to our stitch marker until we have 18 stitches. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets into this same stitch, then I'm going to put my stitch marker at the first stitch so that you know where it is. And now we're doing 1 single crochet into the next, and then 2 single crochets. So we're just repeating this pattern until we get back to our stitch marker. Then 1, all single crochets, then 2, 1, 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet by itself, then 2 single crochets, one, then 2, and by the time you get back to your stitch marker, so 1 into the last stitch, you should find that you have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, round 4. Again, we're still increasing. We're doing 2 single crochets into the first stitch, then 1 single crochet into the next 2, and then we're going to repeat 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet into the next 2, 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet into the next 2, all the way back to our stitch marker, and we should have 24 stitches. So this is round 4. So 2 single crochets into the first stitch, then putting your stitch marker in at the first stitch so you know where you started, then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and we're just repeating that stitch combination until we get back to our stitch marker. So 2 into this, 2 single crochets into this same stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, then 2 single crochets, and 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, then 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and you should find that you have 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, at this point, I'm just going to pause and weave in this center end. So pull it tight, grab your tapestry needle, Just weave it in and out of the stitching on the back of your work. Just in and out, back and forth. There's no right or wrong, as always. And just securing it away so that our orangutan can last for a long time. Okay, once you're happy with that, just trim it, and it doesn't matter about that bit, you're not going to see it. Okay, so rounds, so that we just finished round 4, so round 5 to round 7 is 3 rounds in total. So we're just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 24 stitches. So I will do round 5 with you. So we're just putting 1 single crochet into every stitch around, and you're going to do that 3 times. So I just put my stitch marker in there at the first stitch. You could just count it if you wanted to. I know you usually get distracted or interrupted, so it's just handy to have a stitch marker. So I'm just doing 1 single crochet to every single stitch until I get back to my stitch marker, and then you want to do that for another 2 times. Repeat, just doing the same thing for another 2 rounds. Alright, once you get back to your stitch marker, continue to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around, and do that 2 more times, and then I will see you at the end of round 7 to begin round 8. Okay, just finished round 7, and now we're going to embroider his mouth and his nostrils. So you got your center. Here's the center, and I'm just sort of counting 1, 2, 3. So he's going to go, and you want to kind of start these little creases at the very top of the center circle. So at the top here, so you get a nice wide smile. Okay, I'm using 2 strands of black yarn, leaving you want enough so that you can do the smile on the nostrils. So this is, so just take a look. Here's our center, 1, 2, 3, and here's the top of our circle. So I want to make like a little triangle for those creases. Okay. Leave a tail for knotting off later. And you're just kind of gonna go, I'm following the natural form of the crochet here. Just make sure you keep it free from this yarn, tangle free, because it's so annoying if it gets caught. And I'm just okay, and now you're just gonna do like a back stitch along that 3rd row from the center to make his nice wide grin. So I'm just following them. Each hole is kind of a stitch, so I'm just kind of following that along. I'm just going to go all the way around to the other side. They all come out a bit different. So he's gonna look, this one's gonna look different to my first one. And that's okay, because it gives them new personality. So coming along. And then once it's kind of lined up with this one, you want to make another little triangular shape. And just use your tapestry needle as a guide so it looks pretty even. So I'm just going to make this triangular shape here. And now, okay, the nostrils are rows 4 and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're about 3 stitches apart. So you just sort of, I'm just sort of eyeballing where with the center. They might be 3 or 4 stitches apart. So if we make the first one here, let's see how that looks. You might have to do it a couple of times until you get the look you're going for. And I'm going to do it twice into the same stitch so it just pops out a little bit more. And I'm going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to come over here to this one and I'll do it twice. And let's see if I'm fairly happy with it. Okay, just doing one more stitch into the same spot here, just so that it pops out a little bit more. And then check to make sure you're happy with his smile and his nostrils. And now, grabbing the black ends, just knot them together. So just with the first knot, make it secure but not too tight because you don't want to pull in the face at the front. And then with the next one, make it as tight as you can. And you might have a better way of doing this, but I just always do it like this. And then I do a third knot and I make it as really tight. And then you can trim it. And it won't matter about those bits, you're not going to see it. So that's his face done. All right, we are now moving on to round 8. Yeah, after working on the baby orangutan's face, I've decided to split the tutorials into 2 because it's quite a long tutorial. So the first tutorial will just be his mouth, so that will be tutorial 6A, and then the next one for the rest of the head will be tutorial 6B. I hope that works for everyone, but it was just getting too long. So I will see you in the next tutorial to finish off our baby orangutan's face and head, and that will be tutorial 6B. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.